All right, so yesterday we talked about using SOHCAHTOA to find the length of a side of a triangle. Any questions on that? Okay, so today we're going to use SOHCAHTOA to find the missing angles. Using SOHCAHTOA to find missing angles. And the problems are very similar. So, for example, they might give you a right triangle. Every problem will have a right triangle. SOHCAHTOA doesn't work if it's not a right triangle, right? So they might give you a right triangle, and they might give you two sides. Like, for example, they might say this side has a length of 8, and this side has a length of 5. Find the measure of this angle right here. So it's very similar to the problems we did yesterday in that you look at the angle we're working with and the two sides we're working with and figure out which trig function is appropriate. So in this case, in relation to this angle, this is the opposite side. This is the hypotenuse. So which trig function is appropriate if you have opposite and hypotenuse? Sine, right? So you're going to set up the equation. The sine of angle x equals 5/8. So the only difference in these problems is instead of the variable being in the fraction over here, the variable is actually the angle. So to solve this, the notation is, you would say x is, the notation is sine with a superscript -1 of 5/8. So the way that this is worded, the way that you would actually talk about this, is you would either say sine inverse of 5/8, or you could say what it actually means is the angle whose sine is. The angle whose sine is whatever follows. So in this case, the answer is the angle whose sine is 5/8. So your calculator actually does that for you as well. So I'll show you how to do it on Desmos. On a normal calculator, all you would do is you would just press the second button, right? Let me make sure this calculator it's in radians. So let me make sure it's in degrees. So on this calculator, I would just do second and then sine. Okay, when you press second sine, it's sine inverse, or second cosine is cosine inverse, second tangent is tangent inverse. So this is the angle whose sine is 5/8. And then you just type that in, and the answer is 38.7 degrees. On Desmos, it's super easy as well. So on Desmos, which is what I encourage you to use, there's two ways you can do it. You can either type in sine to the -1 power. So if I type in sine and then use the little caret button to get a superscript, -1 and then 5/8 in parentheses, it gives me the correct answer, 36.7 degrees. Okay? Another way you can do it though is if you press this little keyboard button on your Desmos calculator, it actually gives you all these things yourself. Like you can actually, there's an exponent button right there. And if you press this function, there's actually a sine inverse button right there. So you could just type in sine inverse and then 5/8, something like that. So you don't actually have to use the little exponent button, which by the way on keyboards is Shift 6. Shift 6 is the way to get an exponent. You don't have to do that. You can do that, or you can actually just use the function button that's on the Desmos already. Okay, so the answer would be 38.7 degrees. X is, again, this is rounded, so it's approximately 38.7 degrees. And make sure you pay attention to where they ask you to round it to. They might say the nearest degree, they might say the nearest tenth of a degree, or whatever. But you have to make sure your calculator's in degrees. This is definitely not going to be radians. We will do radians at some point this year. Like, what does it mean? Like, what's the conversion from degrees to radians and stuff like that? But not yet. Okay? So everything has to be in degrees. So that's it. So if I have something like, suppose I have a right triangle like this. Okay. And let's suppose I know that this side is 12.7, and this side is 2.3. And I'm trying to find this angle right here, angle A. Which trig ratio would you use here? Tangent, right? So this should be like super easy. Like you should be coming up with this like no problem. If you're having a hard time coming up with which trig ratio to use, you just got to like review SOHCAHTOA and what that stands for, right? So the tangent of angle A is equal to opposite over adjacent, 12.7 divided by 2.3. So therefore, A is the angle whose tangent is 12.7 divided by 2.3. And then you just do that on your calculator. So on Desmos, you can do the angle whose tangent is, so I'm going to use the actual function button, the angle whose tangent is, whoops, I got to get up what's there. The angle whose tangent is, I forgot the numbers already. 12.7
over 2.3.
Thanks. 12.7 divided by 2.3.
Wait, it didn't.
Yeah, that didn't do it right. I wasn't paying attention. What?
Holy music stop playing. Yeah, that's me.
I don't get it. All right, so 12.7 divided by 2.3. So the answer would be 79.7 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not
Big
good.
side.
I mean, this seems like a reasonable answer, right? I mean, if you think
Yeah.
about it, this is much shorter than that, so it seems like that would be a big angle.
Oh, yes. The beginning of first grade. Yeah.
What if you got an answer here? What if your calculator gave you an answer like 170 degrees? That makes no sense, right? Because it has to be an acute angle. If it's not, if your calculator doesn't give you an acute angle, you definitely messed up. If your calculator gives you a negative number, you definitely messed up, right?
Negative angle. Yeah.
Right.
That's the nice part of geometry. You don't really have to worry about negative numbers. Or at least you haven't had to yet.
That's true. I mean, we're talking about lengths and measures of things. They can't really be negative. So,
Yeah, that's nice. You say you hate me? What?
so how about this? What if I have, what if I'm trying to find this angle, angle T, and I know that this side has a length of 4.8, and this side has a length of 11.3. So this would be cosine. So you'd say cosine of T equals 4.8 divided by 11.3. So T is the angle whose cosine is 4.8 divided by 11.3. So my calculator, the angle, whoops, I'm going to go to the next line. The angle whose cosine is 4.8 divided by 11.3. So the answer is 64.9 degrees. You've done this before, yes?
Did we? I think we did. Very
We
briefly.
definitely did.
I don't remember. I remember doing other.
Lining sides.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions about it? We're good? So if you work on your homework right now, you probably won't have any homework over break, because that's all we're doing, just these 2 assignments. So if you didn't finish yesterday's now, and if you didn't finish, and if you work on this, you should be able to finish it, it's not that long. Okay,